We would love to welcome to the show as soon as she comes onto the Zoom. Aha, there she is. Look at that.
Hi.
It's actual lawyer, Nicole Black. Wow. Amazing. What's happening?
Not much. Good morning.
Good morning. Nikki, you were on episode 52, believe it or not, way back in January of 2016. If I recall correctly, I recorded that podcast from a prone position, laying on my living room floor because my spine had recently exploded.
Yep,
and I was
remember
awaiting
that.
surgery. Yeah. I'm fully recovered, thankfully.
Yeah, look at you standing up and everything.
I know. It's a nice skill to have, to be able to stand. Nikki is an immigration lawyer working in Los Angeles. How long have you been an immigration lawyer?
About 9 years.
9 years. Hard to believe, huh? Time flies.
Yeah, no kidding.
I met Nikki at UC Hastings. We sat next to each other in some of our 1L classes. We were in the same section. And it's lucky for her, not because she knows me, but because I quickly introduced her to her now husband, Mike, my buddy from college. So it is amazing how that happens. There's kind of a joke about people going to law school in order to get married, but you went to law school, got married, and became an actual lawyer, which is
and I think in that
something.
joke, you're going to law school to get married to a lawyer. I married a marketing guy.
Yeah, well, lucky you to marry a non-lawyer. I would not want to be married to a lawyer. Would you?
Oh, sorry. I had like a freeze. What was that?
I said I would not want to be married to a lawyer, and I asked if you would.
Oh, yeah. No. No.
Yeah, because you encounter too many of them already on the day-to-day.
I wouldn't want to be married to myself. So, I think a mix of personalities is helpful.
So, Nikki is one of my best friends. We play Dungeons and Dragons together. We also play Gloomhaven together. We geek out regularly with our fantasy gaming. And I learned very quickly never to argue with her.
Not that bad.
You're not that bad, but you vehemently defended Mark Zuckerberg's character in The Social Network, which was the last time I believe I ever had any kind of an argument with you. That was alcohol fueled, and I have since then, I don't know if you've noticed, but since then I have surrendered in all possible arguments. And that's why we're still friends.
It's wise of you. That was one of my more lawyerly moments of my life, to be honest, because so typical of a lawyer. I don't even care about Mark Zuckerberg at all. I don't know why I all of a sudden decided to really care about it.
Exactly. But, yeah. You got your teeth into that, and you just decided that you were going to take the other side of that debate. And I stupidly kept going, and it was kind of awkward. But our friendship survived it, which is kind of a miracle. Let's talk about, can we talk about agree to disagree?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You know the story.
Okay. Well, agree to disagree. Nathan often observes about me that I hate that phrase. I can't agree to disagree about Mark Zuckerberg or anything else. I think it's you should, disagree to disagree and talk about it, discuss, argue. Agree to disagree is just like, I give up.
Yeah, which, to be honest, if I had to hire a lawyer, God forbid, if I had to hire a lawyer for any purpose, I want the lawyer who's not going to agree to disagree. I want the lawyer who's going to disagree always. Right?
Yeah,
I want that bulldog in my corner.
And honestly, I mean, I feel like now I'm sounding like a big arguer. I'm not even a litigator, but I think it's good, for lawyers not to throw their hands up and move on and to keep arguing their points, but also, friends, relationships, it's good to disagree.
Isn't that agreeing to disagree though?
Yeah, exactly.
I guess maybe
Yeah.
the phrase should be agree to disagree forever and never stop disagreeing.
Yeah. Well, with me and Mike, it's agree to let Nikki win all discussions. That's that's our agreement. And it's working out pretty well for us so far. You guys are still married, so I'm sure he's employed that strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we could talk about real stuff. When we talked on episode 52, I remember that you were delighted to be a lawyer. Is that still the case?
It is. I'm delighted to be a lawyer.
So what's your day like? What do you like about it?
Well, I'm an immigration lawyer, as Nathan said. So it's a transactional field for the most part. Every now and again, I do have to go in and argue a case in front of a government officer, or God forbid, have to take it to an appeals board or to court. But for the most part, it's transactional. So I'm meeting with clients about some goal they have, which is usually some type of, either a temporary visa or a green card or citizenship. I represent a lot of companies. So they're coming to me asking to bring people into the US for work. So I'm looking at their circumstances. In the employment-based context, it's a bunch of, looking at their credentials, education, the job that they do, putting it together with the types of immigration options that are available, and then coming up with a strategy to help them achieve their goal. So a lot of my filings are done on paper. I argue my cases in writing. There's government forms involved, a lot of procedure that you have to know, sending the files to the right place and packaging them correctly, and obviously arguing the law of it. And then, so that's, all kind of done. I have associates that work for my firm, so I supervise them and review the cases that they put together. Every now and again, we'll have people going to consulates all over the world. So helping prepare them to be interviewed by officers when I'm not there, which is kind of an interesting exercise. It's a little bit like preparing a client for a deposition, helping them understand what they're going to be asked, what they should say, what they should not volunteer, learning how to keep their answers nice and short, which is my favorite tip for everyone in every interaction with the government. And that's pretty much my day. I work from home. I always have, even before COVID. So I'm usually sitting right here.
How many times have you put on a suit in the last year?
0.
How about the last 5 years?
20.
4 times a year?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Ben, you were going to ask a
not
question.
Bad.
Not bad. Yeah. Well, so Nikki, as you were talking about the things that you enjoy about your job, and when you started talking about forms and knowing the policies and regulations, that sounded to me like a lot like filling out my taxes or something, which is an extraordinarily painful experience. So I guess it's just like some people have this enjoyment or fulfillment, right? Through like navigating this morass of like government complexity.
100%.
And others don't, right? So
absolutely. Yeah. If you're a person in law school who's loving constitutional law, sitting in class and debating with your, classmate across the room, immigration law might not be for you. It's really for people who, love complexity, like the puzzle of it, but then also get a lot of enjoyment in like catching a typo on a form. I think, that's me. I don't know why, but it is.
Yeah, why?
Yeah. I mean, I always describe it as very tedious in a lot of ways, and also very high stakes. So you're doing at the same time, it's like this is somebody's life. Like they're either going to get a green card or not.
Yep.
And your job is to do, though, it's not like super exciting oratory in the courtroom or whatever. Instead, it's, you're like taking care of paperwork, dotting I's and crossing T's, and you got to be like super, super detail oriented. And if you fuck up, it ruins their whole life.
100% correct. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you get a passport number wrong on a form, their life blows up. I
Right.
mean, sometimes you can't fix that mistake. Sometimes someone has to leave the US. They have to take their kids out of school, they have to sell their house, and they have to leave.
Oh, has that ever happened to you, Nikki? Can you even say that?
Nikki doesn't lose.
I can. I lose very rarely, but it has happened once, and I can tell you, you never ever forget. I won't, but I could tell you the guy's name, could tell you his kids' names. I know his address. I remember his birthday. I mean, it stays with you.
Wow. Yeah.
Didn't it take you like years before you ever even lost a case? That's how I remember it.
Yeah, it's true. I've probably, in terms of loss, I mean, these are no cases foolproof. You can't guarantee an outcome. Usually what we do when we're making these filings, they're going to a government officer, right? Someone with usually like a bachelor's degree, various levels of training. They're not lawyers that are adjudicating these cases, and they're not judges either. So, sometimes you get a bad officer, sometimes you get a really tough officer. Long story short, no case is 100% winnable. But yeah, I've had a really good track record, probably in large part because I get so much gratification out of the minutia. But yeah, over the last 9 years, I've probably lost and not been able to save 2 cases.
Do you have some say in like what cases you take on? Like you have companies that are coming to you, right? And I guess it's nicer to work for some companies than other companies, or they have like they're bringing you people that they're like, yeah, okay, this is likely to succeed, or no, not likely to succeed. I don't know. How does that work?
Yeah. So I'm lucky in my job because when I graduated from law school, I started working for a firm that was just one solo practitioner, one attorney, no legal assistant, no secretary, nothing. So when he hired me, I was kind of the second employee. And, over the last 9 years, the firm has grown, and now we have a couple of attorneys and some legal assistants. But back then it was just us. And so, I really was able to have a hand in building the firm, setting up the infrastructure, figuring out, how we do consultations, when cases come in the door, how we handle them. So all that to say, yeah, I do get some input in the cases that we take. We have corporate clients that, have engaged us for whatever comes in the door. And so if a company wants to hire a new employee, they come to us and say, how can we do it? And for the most part, we're able to find a way. Every now and then we'll have a situation where there's just not an immigration option for someone. And so in those cases, we'll tell them. But, most of those cases, if we can find a solution, we take it and we, make it work. We also do family-based work. So, people will call us and say, I'm married to a US citizen, or, I came here illegally 20 years ago. My daughter's about to turn 21. She wants to, sponsor me for some kind of immigration benefit. So we take those cases too. Typically we do in-person meetings with those potential clients where we talk to them about their situation. We tell them, hey, you have a good case, or you have a not so good case, or, you can try it, but here's the risk to you. And then if it's a good match, we start a case.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a nice mix. I mean, I think it's a little bit rare for lawyers to get to work on a variety of cases like that. So you have the corporate side and, all that entails. And then you also have just families from, all kinds of circumstances.
When you say corporate side, for some reason, the company that immediately comes to mind is Google. But are we talking like big companies like that? Or are we talking about just a whole mill of sizes?
Yeah, there's a range of sizes that we represent for sure, but a company like Google probably files, I don't know, in the thousands of immigration cases a year. I mean, like high thousands. So they have their own in-house immigration lawyers and legal department. And then they also have outside counsel, big immigration firms that have, hundreds and hundreds of attorneys that are also working on their cases. So that kind of client is not really for us because we're a boutique firm, we're much smaller. The way that we handle cases is not kind of high volume, churning things out really quickly. We're taking on the more difficult cases. We're taking on the smaller companies that want a really like white glove immigration program.
White glove?
Yeah, so that means
bespoke, Ben. Bespoke.
Yeah, exactly. Bespoke, right?
Ben doesn't know what that means.
I looked it up last time. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna find a word you don't know.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's lots of ways to practice immigration law. One common way is on a really high volume basis. You're using templates. So if you represent Google, you've got a software engineer template.
That's what you were doing in Canada, right?
Yeah, exactly. I used to work for Ernst & Young's immigration law department. Ernst & Young is a big consulting firm, offices all over the world, hundreds of employees, and a big immigration need. So our work there was, templated. We were looking for really efficient ways to churn out a case in a day, lots of legal assistants working on the cases. And so the attorneys are supervising and reviewing their work. But then at my firm, it's more bespoke or white glove. Basically, the lawyers are handling the bulk of the work and preparing the cases. And they're kind of tougher cases. So we're making more nuanced legal arguments. Things are really tailored to the way a company operates. Or
a much more hands-on approach.
They're white gloves.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, tailored, I think, is a good word for it.
Tailored, yes. Yeah. Customized, expensive.
Expensive,
yes.
Which brings me to I'm sorry that I have to be like kind of a dick all the time, but we have hundreds of students
go ahead.
who want to do immigration law, and I don't know that I've ever had one of them who understands what my friend Nikki does in immigration law. All of our students, they want to help. And I understand what they want to do. They want to help like asylees and refugees and people who are, washing dishes and doing agricultural labor. And as I understand it, that is just not what you do. Do you even know anybody who does that kind of work?
I do. I mean, I'm a member of this nationwide organization of immigration lawyers, and it's all the different types. So it's the people that are standing, on the border, on the southern border, letting people just walk, like they hold a sign that says abogado, and people walk up and say, I'm trying to get in. What do I do? This officer said this. I got this piece of paper I don't understand. So there's lawyers like that, and they're amazing. They're so amazing.
Yeah.
There's people that are helping get the kids out of cages. There's people who work in asylum court every day. There's people who go to the immigration detention facilities and help people with their cases. But then, the most of the lawyers that I work closely with and, know really well work in the employment-based space, working with companies. So yeah, I know those lawyers, but it's not what I do.
Do you know even how they get paid?
The people at the borders?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of them work for nonprofits.
Yeah.
And get grants.
But it can't be like a large salary, right? I mean, this is a labor of love, probably.
Yeah, you do it because you love it, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's people fighting the good fight. And, law schools are going to tell you, well, lawyers, on average make $100,000 a year. And then they'll tell you about their like refugee programs.
Right.
Those are different groups of
disconnect.
Lawyers. That's not the same lawyer.
Yeah, they really are. They're different groups of lawyers, and people, are doing it for different reasons. I mean, yeah, the folks that are working for nonprofits and, helping people that aren't paying them, they're doing it because they're getting fulfillment, not in a paycheck. Unlike me. I mean, I will say
you're still helping people, Nikki. Don't sell yourself short.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Are also getting compensated for that.
They're just rich. I'm helping them.
I mean, yes, I appreciate the paycheck, but I will also say I'm kind of surprised that that, you know, the employment-based immigration isn't more of a thing for law students, because a lot of law students want to go into some kind of corporate law. And I think this is one of the best areas of business-related law, because there is still a real person on the other end of the work that you're doing. I mean, I represent actually a lot of employees at big companies, like successful employees, you know, software engineers and other types of engineers, scientists, that kind of thing. And they're DACA recipients, which is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. They're basically kids who came to the US unlawfully, like were snuck across the border, for example, by their parents, have lived in the US for their whole lives. Under the Obama administration, they were finally able to get work authorization, but a lot of these kids went to college here. Now they can work and they're being hired by huge companies. And, you know, they're looking for ways to finally have status here. So just because someone is an employee of a company doesn't mean that they're a rich person, you know, they're just people who have made their way here.
Yeah.
Excellent. Nikki, I'm sure you have a whole stack of work in front of you, which I know makes you happier than just about anything else in your life.
Except Gloomhaven.
Except for Gloomhaven. I never stopped talking about the time where you said that you wanted work to be the primary focus of your life while Mike was sitting next to you on the couch. I also never stopped talking about when you guys came back from Canada and you stayed with me for a little while you were getting your, I guess your furniture was still being shipped and partially lost on the way back from Canada. And I just remember getting up in the morning and you're sitting there at my table, and then you just being there without moving, except for to go get a cup of noodles at like noon, microwave cup of noodles. And then you're just there all the way till like 6 or 7 until we started playing our board games or whatever. That to me is a lawyer. An actual lawyer.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like virtual reality, Nikki. You're like sucked into this world. And
oh, that's her biggest dream
of
all dreams, is to actually just live inside the oasis.
Yeah. And practicing immigration law in the oasis. So there you go.
The second there is a VR,
I will use that technology.
The second there is a VR immigration court, she will be there. That I promise you.
What would be my avatar? I don't know. Statue of Liberty.
Amazing.
Hey, Nikki.
All right. I think we could probably leave it there. Ben, anything else for Nikki? Nikki, anything else for our audience?
In person.
Yeah, it was great to meet you, Ben. I've heard a lot about you. I can't believe we've never met before.
Oh, that's right. It was just me doing the interview last time. Oh, well, nice to connect you two. I'm sure you'll meet sometime soon. We'll get together now that everybody's getting vaccinated and whatnot. Nikki, last time you had a lot of people reaching out to you after the show to ask you questions about immigration law. Was that too annoying, or do you want to try that again?
No, it was great. Yeah, I always appreciate it. And, you know, I mean, there's self-interest too, because my firm hires lawyers. I like to meet young lawyers because one day I might need them.
And assistants, paralegals, and all kinds of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Cool. How do people reach out to you if they want to connect?
So you can email me. My email address is Black, my last name, BLACK, at dayzadlaw.com.
DAYZAD law.com.
That's right. Yep, exactly. And I'm also on Twitter, Nikki Marie Black, NIKKI Marie Black.
Excellent. Thanks for coming on. Hopefully it won't be 230 more episodes before we have you back. Everybody always loves to hear from you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. That's nice.
Cool. All right.
All right, thanks, guys. Nick. Have a good one.
Yep.
See you soon.
See ya.